Hello, Facebook. Today is Tuesday, September 10th, 2019, and we're having our HR moment with Menifield and Associates. So today's been a really busy day, working from home, so no outside appointments. And I must say, I've been doing a lot of research, trying to get up to speed on some different technologies and things like that. So you get me in a very more relaxed mode, as in, no makeup. Kind of like workout-ish clothing. But I'm real happy today to come back and share some more HR moments with you. So, yesterday and for the last few days, we've been talking about the lack of balance, or you can say harmony, in having workplace versus home life dividers. The struggles that can come, or the implications rather, of when we allow and or encourage our hourly employees to work on their own time. So yesterday we talked a little bit about the legal ramifications. Some organizations are currently, and even big, players like T-Mobile are in lawsuits with their employees because their employees feel like they are required to respond to messages and read them on their personal time. And so today, because I think whenever we look at policies and how we want to implement things as business owners, supervisors, managers, we have to think about the implications of those changes or expectations. And those implications are just beyond the legalities. What about morale? How does this impact employees when they have expectations that suggest there is no separation from their personal life to their business life? What is the impact on their family? And so I'd like to, talk about that a little bit today. Um, we often find and hear that people don't quit jobs, they quit leaders or supervisors, correct? So just in an awareness of that, it should make you kind of wonder, what are some of the things the supervisors are doing that are causing these people to decide to leave these jobs? Some of them is expectations that there is no break. My daughter actually had a job when she was in college, and she was working for a Fortune 500 corporation, really great job, great pay, the most money she'd ever made. But on her off days, she often had to dial in for conference calls. And it was disruptive for her. One, because her personality style is an S, which is steady, supportive, if you know anything about DISC. So she really craves and desires consistency and a dependable schedule. But what was happening is the time she'd scheduled to study, the manager had an expectation that she may have her jump on a conference call and would do so for hours. And so this ultimately led to her leaving that job. This and some other things. This wasn't the only reason. But when she left, she actually left and went to a job that paid her less money than the one that she had. So again, this is a perfect example of not feeling as if I can turn off work. And there were complaints from her supervisor about how quickly she responded to text messages. Now, they weren't paying for her phone, I was. So, I had issue with that. But I tell you that story because I think it does matter. Now, years ago, this was probably about 12 years ago, I went to a leadership program, and it lasted for about a month. And when I was there, let me close this door really quick. There's some outside noise. Okay, I'm back. So I was at a training program, and we did 360 surveys. And if you've never done a 360 survey, and if you would love to have one, let me know, because we actually have them on the John Maxwell team. But a 360 survey is a survey where you rate yourself, so you're getting a self view. Your supervisor rates you on some things, so that's that hierarchical view from your supervisor. Your peers rate you, so people in similar position, or your laterals, and then your direct reports. And if you have some outside customers, you can even bring that in. And so then you get this feedback on these various categories, and you look at how you rated yourself compared to your averages and also if there's anything glaring. Well, most of us very seldom get feedback at this level, which is why this is such a valuable tool. And for me, it was a little hard to read. Some necessary feedback, not all of it that I agree with, but it was good to know what perception is because, again, perception is reality. And so I've learned through the years, whenever I receive feedback, to say to myself, what can I shift or do differently to shift the perception? So I don't necessarily say what do I need to change, what am I doing wrong, because it's not a right or wrong thing. It's how do you perceive it. But I also want to know, validate their perception. So one of the feedback areas that I received some lower scores than I expected or lower than my average and definitely lower than my own perceived opinion was in work, family work balance, life work balance. I was shocked. I was like, what? They don't think that, and this was from my direct reports. And at first, I was just really confused because if you don't know me, you wouldn't know this. But I can tell you unequivocally in the 13 years that my daughter was in school, and we can even talk about preschool, I missed one event, and I can tell you which one I missed. I missed her honor society induction because I was sick after being in a car accident, and I was devastated for missing it. So I never missed anything. I was the chaperone on all the trips. I moved so that her school could be near my job. I went to have lunch with her regularly. I mean, I was very hands on. So to hear that I lacked in balance, I found very perplexing. But then I decided to sit with it because, again, we can take this feedback and say it's either right or wrong, or we can try to understand where it comes from. So this is what it dawned on me. I didn't share. I would, because I was the office head most of the time, or in some leadership position, I would just say, okay, I'm running an errand, I'm going out, I'm clocking out for an hour, or whatever that case may be. But I didn't say, oh, I'm going to have lunch with Amber, or I'm going to, go to a school program. And so people didn't see that I made whatever was happening in her life a priority. I'm the same person that if I get a phone call, I remember being in a staff meeting and finding out my mother wasn't feeling her best after my uncle passed. I walked out of the meeting and they're still in the meeting. I'm getting a plane ticket. That's me. I'm like, my mom needs me. I got to go. So if you didn't know, though, why I walked out of the meeting, you just may think I had to use the bathroom or something. I say all that to say the other thing that they saw, so absence of knowing where I was going or if I did leave for something personal, they also saw that when they left at the end of the day, I was still at work. Oftentimes when they came in, I was there. I was there often on the weekends because I took the liberties during the week to not miss anything. I would work on my own time. So there was this lens that I was this workaholic that even though, again, I work very hard and will go the extra mile and stay up all night and work on presentations and do all that other stuff, I am a true advocate for work hard, play hard. I play very hard, but that wasn't as evident. And so what also transferred to them, and this is how it impacts morale. So here's the long, version of the story. They didn't have the freeness or the liberties they felt that I would be okay with them leaving for the same reason. That was the game changer for me because it appeared that I was always on the clock, always working hard, company before self kind of mindset. There was this aura that represented itself around me that suggested that they had to be that way too. And so then later, when I would have conversations with people, and perhaps they had a sick relative or something was going on, and I would say, well, why are you here? They would look at me literally. It would be a deer in headlights moment. And they would say, well, I didn't know could leave. And I said, well, I would leave. There's no way I'd be at work if my mom needed me, my daughter, my husband, or whatever. Take this job. I don't care. My attitude in life has always been, as important as I may be to the organization, if something happened to me, few people would come to my funeral, do whatever. Oh, man, we really miss Angela. But guess what? They'd move on. The only people in my world whose lives will be changed forever, I believe anyway, if something serious were to happen to me, is my family. So I'm always going to put my health, my family, and those things first. But I wasn't effectively articulating it. So there were people who were sacrificing events. There was a guy that I worked with who told me he hadn't trick or treated with his kids in years because, we had a season and he had to work nights. And I was like, we can't switch. You can't get somebody to switch with you one night. And he looked at me like shocked, and I was like, "Yeah, that would be acceptable if that's what's important to you." Now, Halloween's never been important for me, and I didn't do it. But if you want to do Halloween, do it. Go trick or treat with your kids. And when I say that, they were just like, "Oh wow, Angela." So that's what I mean when I say the impact on morale. We don't even know sometimes, as the leader or the supervisor, how people interpret our actions or the things that they perceive. Again, not necessarily factual, but it was perception. So then, I decided to do a little research. And recently there was an article about if your work life balance is messed up. And so here were some of the signs in this article. Because one of the things it talks about is your shifts continue to get longer. You barely can keep your eyes open after work. Your family complains about lack of attention. That's a big one. I work late a lot, and my husband does, and so but I don't complain because one, I get the demands of the job, but I also build into our life. Oh, we're going to this ball game. Oh, we're going to this concert. Let's go to the movies. Let's do this and do that, because I want to make sure that there's a respite. There is a place where he can go and unwind, have fun. He can indulge my silliness, because Lord knows I could be pretty silly sometimes. Because when I turn that switch off, it's off. I'm a person who has a work phone and a personal phone. And it's not that I don't want my clients to have my phone number, but it's that I need a separation. And so when I put the work phone up, the work phone is put up. And so these are things that I model now. And I think it's really important for me to model for other entrepreneurs, because I know so many of them that they brag about, oh, you can call me in the middle of the night and I'll answer my phone. I'm thinking, why? If you were laying next to me answering the phone in the middle of the night and it wasn't an emergency, I'd be perturbed. But that's another conversation for another day. So again, your family complains about lack of attention. You haven't taken a vacation in a year or longer. That's another indication. And again, if you aren't taking vacations, I promise you, there are some people who follow you, who work for you, who support you, who wonder if it's okay for them to take a vacation. Again, you didn't tell them they couldn't take a vacation. They're modeling the example that you've left for them. Your stress levels are causing problems at work and or at home. And that's a whole show for another day. You feel as if you can never get away from work. How many of you have said that? I just feel like I can't get away. Trust me, you can. You are replaceable. I promise you, you are. I could hire someone to do whatever it is you do. What I can't do is hire your kid a new parent or hire your parent a new child. I mean, I know people who haven't been to see their own parents in eons because they're busy. Trust me, you can be replaced at work. And again, what impact does it have on morale and health? Not just your health, but the health of the other people who are either affected by your decisions and or try to follow your decisions because they believe, well, if Angela got to be the associate deputy administrator by working, Saturdays and Sundays, then I got to do it too. As my mentor Paul Martinelli would say, nay, nay, Angela plays very hard. Your health and fitness are suffering in a big way. Now, that's one of the things that I can say that I have been guilty of, because I'm like, oh, I'm too busy to work out. No, I'm not. I can find the time if I really want to, and I've done better lately. So my point of the matter is, these are all just excuses. It also says you commit to everything without pausing to think. I have coaching clients that tell me all the time, Angela, please help me. I need to learn how to say no. What do you value? Are you trading dollars for time? Because if that's what you're doing, you're going to struggle. You are going to struggle there. The number one thing you can take away from this is that for some people, work is out of control and it's a beast and it devours every part of their life. I don't want you guys to be that person. But also, as again, the supervisor, the business owner, the person who may be projecting this image that we have to be on it all the time, working 24/7, giving everything we have to this thing we call a job or career. Just pay attention to the implications. One, we talked about the legal yesterday. But secondly, what is the implication in morale and health when we work so much that there is no balance? Now, I say balance because the article does. I really have learned that it's more about harmony, because there are seasons in my life that my work requires more from me, and then there are seasons in my life that my personal side requires more, and I may go a week or two and be like, oh, I barely worked. So it's harmony, give and take. Balance suggests, it's equal all the time. And if you're balanced, like right now, I take my foot off the ground. If I'm balanced, there is no movement, because when a scale is perfectly balanced, there's no movement on either side. I want movement in my life, in my business, and in my personal life. So, last week I went to Vegas for a few days. This week I'm working. I'm launching my new program, my founder's lunch is in 2 days, and I have a lot of stuff to get done. So this is one of those weeks where when the weekends comes, I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, well, actually that's not true, because Friday I'm going to visit my daughter. So I'll play again this weekend. But I say that to say, by the time I hit that plane on Friday evening, I will be exhausted, but I'll feel accomplished. And this is also a busy time for my husband. It's the beginning of the semester, so it really works out. We're both a little workaholic-ish at the same time, but then we'll both jump on a plane Friday and it'll be turn it off as best we can. So anyway, we went a little longer today, but I really want to encourage you guys. You may say, Angela, what does this have to do with HR? Because you have the authority and the power to create the culture, the expectations, the unspoken rules. Every organization has them. And if you're that supervisor who believes, get here early, work late, and if you really want to get ahead, and that's the messaging that you're giving, then you're creating this dynamic. And for some people, they don't know how to find the balance in their own life, or they don't have a person in their life that will help them. And so they literally turn into workaholics. So I want to be that person to encourage people to go play, take a long lunch. I have a client that I've just encouraged recently to start taking lunch. She hadn't taken lunch in I don't know how long. And now when I talked to her, she said, Angela, I didn't realize how much I missed that. Take your lunch, take your breaks. Um, have some type of harmony in your life so that you can do the things that you need to do, take care of your health, be there for your family and your friends, but also demonstrate that to other people. So that's been our HR moment with Menifield and Associates. I am Angela Hooper Menifield. I am happy and honored, and thank you for those of you who jumped in on the live, and for those of you who watched the replay. Again, send me your questions. I'd love to hear them. Hope you're having a great day. And I'm also using some different technology today to do the Facebook Live. I'm trying to figure out how to tweak it up. I didn't get it all right, but I'm learning and going as I grow. So love your feedback and have a great Tuesday. Bye.